welcome back to our Edit Talks podcast with us, Group 3. Today we'll discuss something interesting, which is our lesson plan for grade 7 about procedure tasks. This lesson plan, we plan 14 meetings with 2 times 40 minutes and integrating it with deep learning. In this lesson plan, we choose genre-based approach and focus on spoken cycle. So joining with me today are my teammates. Hi everyone.
Hi, Cheryl.
Cheryl.
Hello,
Great.
Cheryl.
Yeah, glad to have you all here. So now let's talk about the basic. Aurel, can you tell us what our lesson plan focuses on?
Sure, Cheryl. So in the first meeting, we'll focus on 3 steps of GBA, which are BKOF, or building knowledge of the field. And then next is modeling of the text, which is MOT. And then the last is joint construction of the text, or GCOT. So our objective in the first meeting is, in the small groups and with teacher guidance, students will be able to create and perform a short spoken procedure text collaboratively using correct sequence and language in at least 80% of their performance. So for the opening for this activity is the teacher grades the students, and then the teacher leads the prayer. And then after that, the teacher will ask like a trigger question for the students. And then the teacher will explain the objectives. And the last, the teachers will motivate the students. The opening takes about 5 minutes, Cheryl.
Okay, thank you. Now, what about the main activity?
So, Cheryl, as has been stated by Aurel before, we have 3 main activities in here, which are BKOF, MOT, and GCOT. In building knowledge of the field, it takes about 15 minutes, and it integrates conceptual understanding as a part of deep learning. So the first, the teacher will introduce some new vocabulary, and second, students will write all of the useful vocabulary in their book, and then the teacher will pronounce the words one by one using correct pronunciation and explain the meaning. And then for the last, students repeat the teacher's pronunciation and understand the meaning of each vocabulary. And for the next is MOT. Atam, can you help me to explain about the modeling of the text?
Okay. In the modeling of the text or MOT, it focuses on reasoning and comprehension. The teacher shown an example of procedure text and reads the text aloud with students. And then students pay attention to the structure and language. And the teacher and students identify the main parts of the text. Also, the teacher explained the language feature of procedure text, such as the use of imperative verb, sequencing words, and simple present tense. And then students underline the language feature in the text, and the teacher asks some questions to check student understanding. And the last, the teacher and student discuss the importance of using the correct order and clear instruction in a procedure text.
Right, Cheryl. After BKOF and MOT, we will move to GCOT, which is joint construction of the text. So it takes about 30 minutes, and it integrates collaboration and communication as the part of deep learning. So in this GCOT, the teacher will divide the students into some groups, and then after that, the teacher will give a topic about Indonesian foods, and after giving the topic, the student will discuss the topic together, and then after that, they will construct their own procedure text together. And at last, the students will present their discussion in front of the class.
Okay, what a great main activity. Then, are you guys will end it there? How you guys will end it?
So basically, we also have a closing in each meeting. For the first meeting, for the closing, the first teacher will ask the students what they learned in today's learning session. And then for the second, teachers give the students homework to make a simple procedure text. And then the teacher will inform the students what they will present. And for the fourth, the teacher gives a brief conclusion for today's learning session. And for the last, teacher leads the prayer. This activity takes about 10 minutes.
Okay, great. What a main activity for first meeting. What about the assessment, guys? Are we going to assess something in this first meeting?
Yes, Cheryl. So the teachers focuses on 2 kind of things in this assessment. The first one is observation, and it is done during group activities. So the first is teacher observes students' participation, cooperation, and activity during discussion, and then take a simple notes, active, adequate, and or needs helps. And the second is oral assessment. It is done during the group performance. The students explain the steps for making food orally in small groups, and the teacher assesses these aspects. The teacher assesses this aspect such as use of imperative verbs, correct sequence of steps, pronunciation and fluency, and also cooperations within the group.
Okay, great. Now, meeting two. What is meeting two about, guys? Please explain it to us.
All right, Cheryl, let's move to the meeting two. Basically, meeting two will focus only on independent construction of the text, or ICOT, which is the last steps of gender-based approach. And our objective in this meeting is, given preparation time and assessment guidance, student will be able to present a spoken procedure text independently using correct structure, pronunciation, and creativity with at least 80% fluency and clarity. So in the opening, it basically similar with the first meeting, but we will make it shorter. So it takes only 3 minutes. So the teacher will greet the student and then review the previous lesson and then explain what are they going to do today. And then the teacher will give the motivation to the students.
Okay, great. Now move to the main activity. I believe this is the continuity from the meeting one.
Yes, Cheryl. On the second meeting, we only focuses on the ICOT, and it takes about 67 minutes, and it integrates the elements of deep learning, which are the creativity and reflection. And we divide it into two main things, which the first one is review session and preparation, takes about 7 minutes. The first is teacher recalls students' memory about the presentation they will do. The second is teacher guides the students to divide the class into 3 parts and arrange the seat. And the teachers give each student a paper for pre-assessment. And the second is individual presentation, takes about 60 minutes. The first teacher gives the instruction and guide the students to sit with their own group. Second is teacher set the scene so that students from group A present in group B, and one student from group B present in group C, and so on. The order of the presentation can be based on the attendance list. And the third student begins to present their own procedure text, okay, about how to make Indonesian food, the simple one, in front of the arranged settings, about maximum 7 minutes. And then the students who do not get their turn for presentation give score based on the peer assessment paper they receive.
Okay, it's such a complex activity, but still focus on our spoken cycle. So the closing, is it the same?
Yes, it is the same, similar. In the closing, it takes about 10 minutes. The teacher just instructs and appreciate student. And finally, a teacher leads the prayers.
Thank you, Atam, for explaining the closing time. Now, for the assessment part, are we going to assess the student in the same way we did on the first meeting, or we're going to have the more complex assessment for this second meeting?
Actually, in the assessment for the second meeting is very different from the first meeting. We have individual presentation as the main assessment, and then pre-assessment and also self-reflection. In individual presentation, the students will conduct a mini cooking demonstration and explain the steps in very simple English. And for the assessment aspect, it's like fluency, pronunciation, clear steps, appropriate use of vocabulary, confidence, and also expressiveness. And for the pre-assessment, it's like the peers will assess the students' other peers' presentation using a very simple sheet, such as good, fair, or needs improvement. The focus is still the same as the individual presentation. And for the self-reflection, the students are required to write 2 short sentences, such as what I did well was, and what I want to improve is. And then for the final score, we have 3 main things that will be measured through percentage. The first one is individual presentation. It takes about 50%, and then written assignment, it takes about 30%, and for the last is participation and also attitude. It takes about 20% of the final score. I think that's all of our explanation for the final lesson plan that we made, Cheryl.
That's great. Thank you, Diva, for closing that. So to wrap up, because we integrated this lesson plan with deep learning, this will help students to have a more active collaborative activities and help them in thinking critically. So to end this, thank you guys. Thank you, my teammates, Aurel, Atam, Diva, and Donata. And thank you for the listeners for tuning in on our podcast. See you in the next episode with me in better health. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye,
Thank you
Cheryl.
so much, Cheryl.